I'm Sarah Dawkins from Sarah Dawkins Essential Health. On the 7th of January 2023, we hosted the Heal Yourself online summit, where 15 experts in self-healing kindly gave up their time to impart their wisdom to audiences watching live on Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn. We've taken all of these live videos and made them available to you here, free on YouTube, for everyone to benefit. I hope you enjoy this and find it helpful. If you want to watch the rest of the speakers, you can do so here. Please don't forget to like and comment on this video and subscribe to my channel. If you want to find out more about myself, my journey and the journey of others through self-healing, you can visit my website at www.sdessentialhealth.com, and you can find my book Heal Yourself on Amazon. Links are in the description below. Thank you for your time. This is a clip of Diana Martin, a life coach with a PhD in nutrition, coming to you from California and talking about nutrition.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you, Sarah, for having me here at the Heal Yourself Summit. I am so excited to be here. I can't wait to share some of the things that I've learned about nutrition and healing at home, definitely, healing yourself. And I'm just really grateful for all of you that have taken the time to come here today. For those of you who may not know me, I am Diana Martin. I am one of the creators of one of the modules in the Heal Yourself course that Sarah has put together. And today I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about nutrition, more specifically healing nutrition. But before I get started, I really want to just take a moment and give you a little bit of background about who I am and some of the ways that I've healed myself. So I am from California. I was born and raised here, and I'm from a large family. We moved around a lot, and as a child, I was sick a lot. There were times when, when I would have chronic inflammation in my throat and my glands, and it's still something that I work toward total and complete healing. It's a process. We're constantly bombarded and exposed to environmental toxins from food and things like that. So even when you heal yourself, it's not just a final thing. You actually have to continue the process of putting nutrition, and it's much bigger than that, as you know, but you have to continue the process of continuing to heal and detoxify. So a little bit about myself. I earned my PhD in holistic medicine. I have a degree in psychology, several certifications in the field of wellness. I'm a published author and a life coach, and I'm really committed to teaching people how to live a life of abundance, and abundance meaning in a holistic manner. And that abundance is mind, body, spirit, purpose, fulfillment. There's a lot of spectrum there. So it's really what you feel and what you define wellness to be for you, and abundance, what you define that to be for you personally. So something else that I'm in the process of working on right now, I'm featured in a film documentary, Think and Grow Rich, Moms Rising, and that premieres in 2023. So sometime next year, but probably in the spring or a little closer toward summer, that will be premiering. And I'll be sharing my story of how I healed, but also my story of adversity and bringing myself out of some difficult situations, healing from grief and some things like that, and how I was able to move forward and now create a life that impacts other people. Always taking your adversities and moving forward with them, and not letting them stop you from growth, but actually letting them fuel growth. And that's really what my part of the documentary is about. So, and I'm going to refer to some notes here just to just to keep accurate and also to keep on time. I tend to drift off into other spaces sometimes, and I want to make sure that I stay on course and on track. But I want to talk about raw nutrition, because raw nutrition to me is really a fundamental part and a fundamental way of healing yourself. And nutrition fuels every single function in our body. It fuels our life. Without it, we experience dis-ease and we experience various health opportunities. And so raw food is so much more nutritious than some of the foods that are on the market today. And we are bombarded with advertisements and enticing smells and things like that kind of almost lure us to eat foods that that we normally wouldn't eat. And a lot of people aren't exactly sure how to create health and how to create healing. And that's what we're here, all of us, that's what we're talking about today. So I want to talk a little bit about raw nutrition specifically. So raw nutrition is known in the raw food community as nutrition that comes from eating raw foods or foods in their raw state or in their most natural state, which is raw. Raw food that still has their digestive enzymes still intact. They're easier to digest. They're less stress on the digestive system, which again is, when you're healing, it is really important to not have all of your energy going toward digesting processed foods or foods that are difficult to digest, which are some of your animal products are very difficult to digest, especially when you're healing. So it's important to give your body a break and to move toward more of a plant-based diet, and then also as many raw foods that you can incorporate. That's going to really help in your healing. So those foods would include, but aren't limited to, fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, and even grains. Certain grains that are soaked or sprouted still contain the enzymes necessary for easy digestion. And you can even take certain plant foods and dehydrate them at any temperature below 105 degrees, and again, that's going to preserve the enzymes, and it is still considered a raw food. There are some types of nuts and seeds that briefly have to be heated to over 105 degrees to crack open the outer shell, but the inner nut or seed is still fully raw. It is still completely intact and has not lost nutrients or enzymes due to overheating, so it's still considered raw. Raw food is absolutely the easiest thing to digest in our system when consumed, and combined properly. And we're going to talk a little bit about raw food combining and certain foods that you don't want to combine together, because then there's this battle in your stomach of which enzymes need to digest which foods first. So we'll go over that. I know this is a lot of information that you're all receiving today, but bear with me. We're gonna give you a lot of amazing information today. It's gonna really help you. So I want to talk a little bit about how energy, the energy that's needed for digestion. And again, it's about the body sending a message to all of its available energy needs to go toward digestion, and that's what causes fatigue. So when you eat heavily, when you eat starchy foods, when you eat processed foods, that's the reason, or a lot of the reason, that you get really tired afterwards. Is because all of your body's energy is going toward the digestive system to digest this food that's very difficult for the body to process and to assimilate. And so that's why, again, we want to stick to more of your plant-based raw foods when you are in the process of healing. That's really, really an important, can't stress that enough, how important that is. Just to really give your body a break. The other part of the nutrition that a part of nutrition that's very important in healing is the pH balance of foods. So your pH balance is a scale. Most of you probably are aware a little bit about what pH balance is, but it's basically a scale that's used to measure the alkaline acid balance of a food. It actually measures the ash residue once a food has been burned and used. So when you consume a food or a beverage, or even when you have a thought process, but we're not going to be talking about that too much, but even when you have a thought process, it leaves an ash residue, and that's what is actually measured for your pH balance. And again, the more alkaline a food is, the more positive an emotion is, your thoughts, things like that. It all creates that acid alkaline balance. And the more alkaline your thoughts and your foods are, the healthier you're going to be. So your acid foods would be things like dairy products, milk, cheese. It would be eggs, meats, processed foods, your pastas and things that are processed, sugars, not natural sugars. Those are very alkalizing to the body. But I'm speaking of table sugars that are found in processed foods, things like that. So those are going to be your more acidic foods. And of course, acidic thoughts are, negative thoughts, fear, rejection, resentment, unforgiveness, things like that. So again, you want to stay away from anything that creates that imbalance of your pH, of your pH there. Yeah. So anyway, trying to get back on track. See, this is why I use my notes. I tend to go off in this other direction. So we're gonna move back into the nutrition part of it. So I want to talk about, just to balance out what I just mentioned about the pH, I do want to talk about the alkaline side of that just briefly. So your alkaline foods are going to be, fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds in their raw state, sprouted nuts and seeds, seed milks, nut milks, things like that. Those are very alkaline for your body. And then again, to keep it balanced, emotions that are really alkaline and healthy for your body are love, happiness, joy, forgiveness, peace, contentment. But the most alkalizing feeling we can have anyway is love, and that's really amazing. So love and healthy food from the earth is just healing. There's just nothing more healing nutritionally and mentally than those two things, not in my opinion anyway. So what does it mean to eat raw, to live raw? It's not only about what you're consuming, it's also about the products that you're using, putting on your skin. Your skin is the biggest organ of your body, believe it or not. And anything that you're putting on your skin, it's almost like you're eating it, because it is absorbing and it is assimilating in your body. And if you are putting things on your skin that your body absorbs, I think it's like 70 or 80%, it's a very high percentage, then if you're not going to eat it, don't put it on your skin, because your body's having to deal with that. And there's a lot of chemicals in products and skin creams and hair shampoos and things like that. So make sure that you're using products that are really healthy. And the only reason I mention the products and putting, and even household products, keep them pure. And I know this is about nutrition, but again, if you're putting it on your body or you're breathing it, it's no different really to me than consuming it, because it is being processed within your body. You are consuming it. So anyway, so those are the things that are really important. Now, a lot of people are a little leery. There are many people that are leery of eating fruits that contain high sugar. But I want to talk to you a little bit about why it's important to eat fruits even when they contain higher sugar, which is your watermelon, peaches, any grapes. Grapes are really high in sugar. They're really high on the glucose, glycemic index anyway. They're high glucose. But I want to talk to you about why that's important. So glucose is our cell's food. Our body assimilates the sugars that we eat, turning them into glucose. And it's to be used for the food for all of our cells. When we eat degenerated food, we compromise cell growth and reproduction. Eating raw food ensures that our body is getting one of the most pure resources of unrefined raw sugars to use for cellular function. And I want to just quickly mention, I'm actually reading from a book that I authored. So I wanted to make sure that you all know that as I'm looking at my notes, I'm actually looking at a book that I authored as well, because the information, of course, is where we got the module information from for the Heal Yourself course. So it's really important. It's really important to me that people understand that there is such a big difference between sugar, table sugar, sugar in cereals that are processed, and the sugar that you're getting out of an apple or a banana. It's a completely different type of sugar. Your body recognizes it completely different, and so it's really important that we understand, what the difference is. So, just to clarify, I've never been someone to just, believe, I don't want to say this in a funny way. Let me rephrase this. So I'm not somebody that just believes something because somebody tells me or because I read it in a book. And, a lot of times we're not taught to cross-reference our information, and what we read and what we believe, we're not encouraged sometimes to cross-reference. We just believe it. It becomes a belief. And sometimes people live their life by those beliefs, like, certain diets and things like that. Because something works, people are doing diets that are really unhealthy and very dangerous for them. And so to me, I like to know that things are backed up by science. And also, aside from even just science, is how does my body feel when I do certain things? When I eat a certain way, how does that make me feel? When I eat processed foods and sugars and things that my body doesn't recognize as food, how does my body feel afterward? How do I feel the next day? So if you feel good, then great. If you don't, that's a sign. That's your body saying what you're doing isn't ideal for me, and then it's obviously time to change when you start, having health opportunities. And I say health opportunities instead of disease or health challenges, because anytime we have what I call a health opportunity, it is an opportunity to make changes. Your body is creating, oftentimes, most of the time, your body is creating those what people call disease. It creates that as a way to try to warn you that what you're doing isn't working, so that's one of the biggest things we can get from that. It's like a check engine light coming on, in your car that says, hey, something's not right. I need you to slow down. I need you to assess what's going on, and I need you to make some changes. So that's one of the things that we can do when we feel that we have some issues. And I mean all of those challenges, health opportunities, they are a way to say, what can I do differently? Because what I'm doing isn't working. So the nutrients in whole plant foods are really easily assimilated and digested in the body, as I mentioned, and it allows the vitamins and minerals to be completely absorbed and utilized for bone health, for your skin, for eye health, for organ health, and basically for your entire well-being, even mental health. I'm sure that some people have noticed, watching today, I'm sure there are people who have noticed that when they eat certain foods, they have a hard time thinking. Their cognitive part of their brain, you're like, I can't focus, I can't think, I don't remember things. And a lot of times that is from food or toxins, things usually that we are consuming will create that. So, there's always going to be conflicting data. There always, but again, that's why it's important to cross-reference information first of all, but also just to search out and seek out credible people that you trust. And again, that's why I am part of this summit and part of what Sarah's doing, because I trust her. Her information is very credible, and it definitely aligns with my own my own research, my own PhD research. So yeah, it just absolutely works. So I want to talk again just for a minute about why enzymes are so important, because I think that's really important to make sure that people know that the enzymes, and again, I'm referring to my notes here, just so I can keep on track, because I know I'm going to be running out of time here in just a moment. But enzymes give food life, and again, when you eat living food, you are giving yourself life. When you eat dead food, you are compromising that a little bit. Now, I'm not saying don't ever eat, animal products. That's up to you. That's your individual preference. But what I'm saying is that think of this: when you eat food, that you are either eating something that is life-giving, or that it is degraded. It's degraded food. So, or I know that a lot of people, that's an optional thing. I'm definitely not saying not to eat meat or anything like that. I know that some people do. So I'm just saying that you have to think about what you're eating and how that's going to affect your body, how easily it is digested within your system, and again, bottom line, how does the food make you feel, and are you dealing with chronic illness or those health opportunities that I had mentioned before. So I know you're going to be doing, there's going to be people here doing the course, the Heal Yourself program. And so I want to talk a little bit again about, or a little bit more about, how misinformation is passed from generation to generation, because I think that's a really important part of why we eat the way we do. I mean, all of it, why we think the way we do, all of that is much of it anyway, is passed down from generation to generation. So, when my grandma was born in 1919, things like heart disease, cancer, obesity, those things weren't as common, back then, not like they are now. But back then people lived on farms, they grew their own vegetables, they grew their own fruit, and pesticides and herbicides were not heavily used back then, not like they are today. And so when pesticides and herbicides became mainstream and everybody was using them, and they're approved for use, and again, I understand that you have to use certain things. I understand the flip side of not using herbicides and pesticides, but again, most of them are extremely toxic to our body. So we weren't using those as mainstream as we are now. Our conventional food supply is heavily chemicalized. There's chemicals all over your food, and some foods we can get away with eating that things like avocados, even if they're sprayed, the skin is thick, chances are you're not really eating too many, you're probably not getting too many chemicals or anything like that from certain foods. But then you have a delicate strawberry, and if you spray that with a chemical, it's going to absorb, and then you're going to eat it. And so make sure that certain foods, especially ones that do not have skin on them that you're going to be peeling, make sure that you are eating organic. Some foods, there's a reference, Dirty Dozen and Clean 15, and those are basically the foods that gives you a list of foods that can be eaten. The Dirty Dozen are the ones you want to make sure you're eating organic foods, and then the Clean 15 are the ones that you can get away with conventional you know, and they're not as you know, not as likely to be absorbing the toxins. So yeah, so there wasn't there wasn't pharmacies on every corner. There's so many reasons that you know, that people are struggling with illness now. But even, you know, we use over-the-counter drugs, and you know, most people, there's like a crazy research that was done a few years ago about the likelihood of being on a prescription medication from the age of like 25 or something. I'd have to look at that again, research this. I recommend that you research it. But most people, at least in America, are on at least 1 to 2 prescription medications before the age of 30. And you know, that way back when my grandma was born, that wasn't a thing either. There wasn't a drugstore on every corner. You know, people didn't rely on the medical system so much that that they were just bombarding their bodies. Again, a part of that is you know, part of what causes some of the issues, at least, that we deal with. So I'm running out of time here, so I wanted to get to another part. I wanted to talk a little bit about transitioning your food from the conventional food that you may be used to eating, some of the conventional foods, some of the processed foods, and I want to talk about some of the detox symptoms that you may feel as you are changing your diet, because a lot of people that I know who have changed their diet from, you know, kind of what I refer to as the standard American diet, but I know this you know, this way of eating is a global thing. It's not just America. So, but the standard way of eating is typically pretty unhealthy. And when people transition from this diet that most of us eat, you know, I've been there. I know how hard it is. I know it's difficult to transition, but we go through some detox symptoms. And a lot of times when people go through some detox symptoms, sometimes called a healing crisis, they will stop the diet. They will stop, and it's not just a diet, it is a lifestyle, but they will stop eating the really raw, you know, nutrient dense food because they are feeling some sort of healing crisis, and it's uncomfortable. Sometimes, you know, it you know, kind of feels like the flu. Sometimes you you know, you feel a little sick to your stomach. You might have a headache or some nausea, and that is your body. It's a healing crisis. Your body is moving toward healing, and sometimes it has to get a little worse or feel a little uncomfortable before it gets better. So I'm going to quickly talk about some of the things that you may feel, and I just mentioned a few of the things that you might feel. So if you feel detox symptoms, you know, that, like I said, the headaches, the any type of headache, any type of stomach ache, just you know, feeling a little lethargic, even if you have yeah, nausea, there's, you know, any of those types of flu-like symptoms, using while you're doing a transition to eating healthy food, do things like take a bath, take a warm bath, you know, try to read a book, get some rest, because your body's wanting you, just like if you were ill, just like if you were having the flu for real, your body wants you to rest, stay hydrated. You can do tongue brushing, you can do massage. Getting a massage will like help make your lymph flow, and it moves the lymphatic system, and it helps you to just get rid of some of those toxins that are likely trying to get out of your body, which is part of the healing crisis. Okay, so it's really important to you know, just to stick with it though, because you really will move past that crisis and you will feel phenomenal. And again, I just want to close with this. You are a machine, kind of like a machine. Your body is you know, made up of components and parts, and they have to be taken care of properly. And just like a vehicle, you know, if you think of yourself as a vehicle, it has to have proper maintenance. You can't, you know, you wouldn't pour sugar down a fuel tank and expect your vehicle to run properly, right? Well, you can't put that in yourself either and expect yourself to run properly. So make sure that you are eating the foods that are sustaining health and vitality. So important. So I want to thank you all again for being here, and I appreciate you, Sarah, again for allowing me to take part in the Heal Yourself course. Have a good day.